intend to stay where you are. You are still trespassing, or in that particular case, you are definitely trespassing. You're intending to make physical contact with the land. Just like contact, physical contact with battery means you could also use a bat, you can also use a gun, you could also throw a pile of poo. There are all different ways to have physical contact. So, I throw a dummy for my dog to catch. I don't notice it's on someone else's property. My dog certainly doesn't care. The dog just wants to retrieve the dummy. So, you can expect the surprise when I get sued for trespass. But, let's look at the facts here. It landed on someone else's property, the dummy. My dog, personal property, ran on the other person's property. 2 physical contacts with the other person's property. I directed my dog by throwing the dummy and likely saying, go get it. And I also threw the dummy itself. So even though I never physically stepped on the land, I caused things into action that did. And that's what's important. That's where the intent comes in. And this can even be if it's a reasonable mistake. Oh, I didn't think I threw it that far. The other guy goes, so? You still trespassed? Well, the only thing that can save you at that point is that no consequences came of the trespass. Trespass is one of those where you're not likely going to get anything unless there was some actual damage. If my dog disturbed precious flowers, I'm screwed. I'm going to have to pay for those precious flowers. If my dog threw mud that diverted a stream of water and somehow flooded a field, I'm going to have to pay for the field. Even unforeseen circumstances. My dog, while he was on the property, saw a little bone, so he dug a little hole to get the bone, eventually ignored it and just got the dummy and came home when I was yelling at him. Well, old Farmer Joe neighbor breaks his leg when he accidentally falls in the hole. I'm going to have to pay for the broken leg. I would have never foreseen that throwing that would have done that. I thought it was my property, and who would have guessed that he would have broken his leg? But I trespassed. I trespassed through throwing the dummy, and my dog trespassed when I told him to go get it. Next one is trespass to chattel. Gotta love that word, chattel. Chattel is personal property. Chattel, 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 chattel. Close, chattel. It's personal property. Trespass to chattel is depriving the owner, the rightful owner, of the chattel. Someone takes my eraser. They're depriving me the use of my eraser. They can return it, and if it's just this eraser, they probably won't pay much, but they did trespass to my chattel, so they may have to pay a little bit. They have the right to return it. But you get to the point where it's a severe trespass, it turns into conversion. The property is said to convert. The ownership converts from the true owner to the person who who did the trespass to chattel. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that, let's use the eraser for example, it means that the person who took the eraser took it so long and deprived me of so much use that I might as well no longer own it. The person can come running back to me and say, here's your eraser, here's your eraser. And I'll say, I have a better idea. Why don't you give me the eraser and I'm going to sue you for the fair market value of the eraser because you converted the property. You took it from me for so long that I may no longer have it. Imagine a tractor for, as another example. Someone takes your tractor, deprives you of the use of that tractor, and then breaks it. Well, if it's broken, it's converted. It can no longer be used for what you would use it for. Or even worse, let's say that the tractor is sold to someone else without you even knowing about it. Well, now you're deprived of ownership. It's converted. You can now sue the person who converted the property for the fair market value of that property and ask for the property back. You might not be able to do it in that case since a bona fide purchaser, someone who might not have known whether the property was his or not, bought it. Now the book goes through a couple of goes through about 6 factors you could look at that the restatements mention, and they're good factors, but they kind of go on the obvious. We're talking about what was the defendant thinking about? Was the defendant just borrowing it and forgot about it? Was did the plaintiff even care? If it was a tractor that he never uses, and not once during, let's say, the 3 months that he thought about it, did he ever think about using it? Things that you'd question yourself, was this really something that I use? Was my enjoyment and use of that item taken from me? And how much was it taken from me? And what sort of expense did I have to undergo because it was taken from me? Conversion can happen even if originally someone is given the property to use. Oh, you need a lawnmower for a few days. Sure, take my lawnmower for a few days. No problem. I'm giving him, the neighbor, permission to use my lawnmower. After 2 or 3 months, and me asking him several times to return the lawnmower, and that not happening, the property goes from custody to, or a bailee type of relationship to conversion. No longer does he have the rightful use of the property. All right. Okay, we're going to quickly go through the defenses here. They're pointed out very well in the book. We have consent, self-defense, defense of home, prevention of felonies, mechanical defense, regaining possession of chattel, in public, private